Hi everyone, it's Miss S. I am out of town for a wedding for the rest of the week, but we are going to proceed with our project. We are entering phase 3 of our project, and I would like to briefly review what we did this week and what we will do for today. So before we start, we got to make sure we have our 4 catalog costs and the tanker choices for your water features. If you did get these two, you may proceed and skip through this video. But if you did not, I would encourage you to just sit with me and review. On Monday, we looked through our catalog. Remember that some of these items were missing a cost. So a cost was missing. And you're going to read through task A. You're going to utilize our unit rates list to compare those values with what we are given. So for instance, one of them was our restrooms. It was missing a cost. I would like you to make the connection regarding the square feet part and the measurements that we have available. Use these two to find our cost. There should be 4 missing costs. You should have all of those written in your notebook. Please write this in your notebook for future reference, okay? All right, and then on Wednesday, we had to make sure we had our water features. So some of you could have chosen like one fountain and a water playground, a small stream, and a swimming pool. Either way, you chose a water feature, and then we had our task B. And Manisha, the engineer, was asking us which tanker do we rent to fill up the water features of your park. So the first thing you needed to do was find the volume of tanker A and find the volume of tanker B. If you cannot see it, tankers are in the shape of cylinders. So use what you know about the volume of a cylinder to find the volume of our tankers. And then when you have these two volumes, the question says that tank A costs 400 to rent and tank B costs 900 to rent. So now you need to make a decision. Which would be the most cost efficient to rent for your water feature? So if you chose a pond and a fountain, you would think, okay, what's my total volume for my park? How would you total up that volume? And then when you have that total volume, you're going to think, okay, would it be cheaper for me to rent 2 of these tanker A's or maybe 1 tanker B? Or if someone maybe did like really big volumes, you're going to think, okay, would it be good to have 5 tanker A's and 1 tanker B? So a lot of rationale here I need you to think through with your partner. And then we are actually going to include that into your budget plan. So again, you need to have your volume for both tankers. You need to total your personal volume for your park. So if you have 2 ponds, you would find the total for that, and so on and so forth. And then make a decision. How would you rent these tankers? How many? In what way? Think of it as in one trip. If you were to take one trip, what would be the best rental situation? Okay? Now, for phase 3 of our budget plan, you will take the time today to finalize what elements you would like in your park. So please make sure you finalize what elements you want. You're going to use the catalog to find those costs, those dollar values. And as you finalize your items, you will write out your items and their costs or credits onto a budget plan worksheet. You're going to use this worksheet to organize your expenses. So here's a copy of both your worksheets. You and your partner will share one paper. How many papers, everybody? 1. You choose either option A or option B. Do not do both. Choose one only. Okay? If you choose option A and you need more lines, just kind of write it on the bottom. If you choose option B, please specify. If you get 2 ponds, you would say like ponds times 2. If you get 3 fountains, you would say fountains times 3. And then like this cost would reflect fountains cost times 3. Okay, and then there is a reflection piece on the bottom. They're all the same, so make sure you do that part. So you should fill out your information, you should organize your elements, and then you should complete your reflection on the bottom together. So here's a closer version. You would fill out your park name, put your names, your budget. Sometimes it's easier to kind of visualize everything all in one page. I gave you a template to separate your stuff. So like you can write all your landscaping here, all your water here. So if I did a fountain and I'd find the unit cost and I'd get like 2, I would multiply these 2 numbers, get my total cost. And then there's my reflection. For option B, you're going to write your category on the left-hand column. You're going to tell me what choice you got, how many, times 1, maybe times 2. You're going to tell me the total cost of whatever you chose. And our balance here is in regards to our budget. So, again, our budget is $350,000. If I bought something that is $50,000, my balance is now $300,000. Okay? So our balance is in regards to our total budget. You're thinking, did I add anything to my budget? Or did I subtract anything out of my budget? When you're subtracting stuff out of your budget, you're thinking about your costs. Something that you spent, you take it out of your balance. But sometimes you might add a credit and you might add that to your balance. Okay, so think about that as you plan for your park. Here are some questions to consider. What makes your park fun or unique? What is the target age audience for your park? And how will the park be accessible to all? Okay, I encourage you to think about how you would answer these questions because they will be useful for your presentation, which is phase 5. Some questions I feel like some of you might answer. How does credit work and what is that again? Credit means you receive additional money. This means you can have a little more flexibility with your spending since you add to your budget. Okay, so there are a couple things on our catalog that are credit, so you're going to have to look back for those. How would you write credit on your budget plan? So you can just write it like a little note up there, maybe indicate it with like a plus 50,000. So I put an example here. If you add a community garden, I'd be like, okay, I added 1. It's a credit of $50,000. Oh no, I think it's I don't think that's the right number. I think it's like credit 5,000. Same here. So if you did the other template, you don't have to put a unit cost, just put 1 and then credit $5,000. Okay? So, you may begin. Enjoy your planning, scholars. I will see you on Monday. Good luck.